Was it an RPG? 7 Days to Die. It just instantiated a bunch of stuff for like forever. Now it's building more of the environment. Oh, there we go. Okay. So, um, this game is not, um, I believe it's not advertised as an RPG, and I don't think it is considered an RPG. Um, so yeah, I'm just starting this by saying like this isn't even really considered an RPG. Um, and I am still making a video on this game that is not an RPG because um, I think it provides an important contrast to actual RPG games to understand why this doesn't count as an RPG when it's so similar to other games that are RPGs. Okay, well, I died. And he has no points. What the fuck? That's just smooth territory. That's just a smooth double. Um, so the important contrast is that okay, so compare this to an RPG, a game that we know is like a RPG is like inarguably an RPG is like one of the most RPG games that could be an RPG. You're thinking like probably Fallout, right? Or Elder Scrolls. If you think of a game that's like definitely an RPG, or maybe like Baldur's Gate, but this is in first person. So if you compare this game to say Fallout, it's very similar in a lot of ways. It's first person, survival features, um, lots of uh, enemies, objects, um, things to craft. You have experience points and you can level up. But even though all those things exist, you have all these similar things, and you sort of have quests. They're just not really like they're just kind of like chores you do to help the survivors at the one location. There's like main location bases, and they don't really like there's nobody there to like really interact with. They're just very like functional. They're not really like I don't know. They're not really how do you say this? Like it doesn't matter what you do there. It's just gonna be one of two things. Um, you're either gonna get in trouble with them or you're gonna be on their side. And that's like the only two things that will happen. Um, so so there isn't really any role playing in the game, is what I'm saying, unless you want there to be. Um, and that's not how a role playing game works. That's how a game that you can use for role playing works, which is basically any game ever. um, so when you play this game, it's more of like a survival simulation in a zombie apocalypse. And you're not actually doing any role playing in the world. You're not I mean there's really nothing happening in the world besides zombies and some quests. And as I was trying to explain earlier, the quests aren't really like oh fuck. The quests aren't like mm, how do I say this? You're not actually really like I'll tell you what. It's a lot easier um to talk about this while not focusing on a video game. I am very easily distracted by what's happening in the game. Um, Old creepy church. Nice. Good. You can't do parkour in this game, so the zombie's gonna get me. Um, so the quest, I wouldn't even really consider them like real quests. It's just like things you can do, right? Quests are like narratives or like storylines. They're like little mini stories. Well, they're like side stories. When you think of quests in a game, you can think of them more like narratives, like small narratives. Oh, he's actually in his underwear. He wasn't even naked. He just looked naked. Um, so you can think of quests more like narratives in like a role playing game. They're more like stories. But in a game like this, they're more functional. They're more utility. You're just completing like an objective. It's just like an order. You're just like following an order. They're like, we need you to go collect these supplies. There's no narrative or story behind it. There's nothing like special happening. You're just going and collecting supplies and coming back. You're just like completing the order. But a narrative in a role playing game um, is going to be more like, we need you to go save these people or help these people. And then when you get there, you're going to find out like, oh, a lord enemy dungeon master that set up specific traps, and they have been here for 20 years. And you're not just defeating them and saving three people. You're now like getting in the way of a vampire's um, plan to dominate the city. Um, you know what I'm talking about? Like there's motivations, there's desires, there's conflict, there's intentions, there's like personalities and things happening. Um, versus um, besides just fighting some enemies and then collecting materials, because that's all you really do in this game. Because it's a survival game. You just like fight enemies and collect materials. Mhm. And then you build stuff and you level up. There's not you don't like go and interact with someone. You don't like like form parties. Um, you don't like build like connections. There's not like a big narrative that you can explore yourself happening. Um, you kind of just go around and do stuff. Um, it's just like an apocalypse. Uh, but even in Fallout, which is an apocalypse, um, there's still like there's people everywhere. Not everywhere, but like there's people scattered around. Um, there's people doing things. There's raiders who have like intentions. Um, if you go to a dungeon, if you find a dungeon or like a lair or like a hideout or something, the people there they have like they're not just like random enemies that spawn and unspawn. They're not just like random mobs that you fight. Um, frick. So the important difference between like this game and like Fallout, and why even though this game has like the agency to go wherever you want and do whatever you want, and it's open ended, and you as the player, you're technically making choices and doing what you want. It's just that there's no like interaction. There's no role playing. You're just you're just carrying out functions. Like it's all utility. You're just carrying out functions. There's just stuff to interact with. You're not role playing. You're just basically using tools throughout the game. Um, so that would be um, like the difference between what makes this like a survival game and not a role playing game. Is that you're not role playing. That you can role play. You can you can like create, but in order to role play, you have to like create a narrative for yourself, or you have to like do multiplayer and like pretend to be someone or something. You don't just it's in order to be a role-playing game, you can't do it yourself. You have to get into the game and that narrative for you to be or that structure for you a, to be something yourself and not control a character that already exists, but for you to be the taking on the role as the player. um, that structure has to already be in there. Just like if you play a fighting game, um, you know, you're not supposed to set up the fighting yourself. If you play a fighting game, you start the game and you're already fighting. The structure is already there to do the fighting. So a role playing game has to have the structure there to role play automatically. That's what makes it a role playing game. Now, this game, as far as I know, was not it's not supposed to be a role playing game. It's a survival. It's just a zombie apocalypse survival game, and it's pretty good at what it does and what it's supposed to be. Um, so yeah, um, was it is it an RPG? 7 Days to Die? No, it's not an RPG. It's not categorized as an RPG, and it shouldn't be categorized as an RPG. It wouldn't qualify as one, even though it has a lot of the same things that an RPG such as Fallout would have. 7 Days to Die still isn't an RPG.